Life throws you punches. Trauma, life, and burnout. I've lived through it all, and I've built something for the fighters that refuse to stay down. If you're ready to stop playing small and own your story, then this is where you belong. The Unstoppable Network is where the overcoming stories are getting very loud. From veterans to survivors to trailblazers, sharing their story of turning their pain into power. Welcome to the Unstoppable Network, where we turn your mess into a message. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Unstoppable Network. I'm still trying to get used to this new name. I love the new video. Shout out to Merrick Avro, who created, I gave him a bunch of videos and said, here, please do what you will with it. And isn't that amazing? So shout out to him. If you need any work for him, he's on Facebook under Merrick Avro, or I think it's Future Evolutions. So go check him out. We're greatly appreciated. I am super excited, because in the house today, I feel like I know this guy. I feel like we're like related here. Dan Comiskey, welcome back. He is a two-time Grey Cup champion. I don't know why I'm having hard time talking today. Who spent 13 seasons in the Canadian Football League. Throughout his career, he was mentored by over 40 professional coaches. That just shows people that a coach needs a coach. Each a specialist in team dynamics, behavior change, and leadership. Their influence helped shape Dan into an expert in habit transformation, high performance culture, and personal development. So welcome, Dan.
Thank you so much for having me, Dorothy. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I got to turn this so it looks better. Anyways, it's all in my head. I know it, but that's okay. Sorry for twisting those words. I don't know why I can't speak today.
It's all good.
It is what it is. So welcome. I am excited to have you in the house. I mean, this is going to be a powerful conversation. I thought Dan was lit up last time I talked to him, but this is a whole new thing. So Dan, for people who have no idea who you are and have lived underneath a rock for a while, share a little bit about Dan the man, not Dan the Grey Cup champion.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I mean, a long time ago in a place far away, I was an athlete, and I was lucky enough to play in the CFL, and I did that for a long time, and I really loved it. You know, it was. I used to joke it was a great way to waste 13 years, but the truth is, it taught me so much about life, and it taught me so much about relationships and friendships. And I guess it also allowed me to hold off on growing up for a long time. So after my career was over, I had to do a little leveling up. And after that, I started getting into safety. I was working for Shell for a number of years, and I took the voice that I had been given in the CFL to professional speaking. So when I was playing for Saskatchewan, they had me going out and talking at schools. And when I went to Edmonton, I started doing leadership talks at boardrooms, that kind of stuff. And then I ended up working in oil and gas companies. And then I ended up working for Shell in health and safety for 6 years, got my teeth cut there, had a great time, met amazing people and more amazing leaders. You know, my bio doesn't talk as much as it should about the leadership that I actually saw in oil and gas, because these people are so dedicated to human performance, and they're dedicated to helping people grow, and they're dedicated to getting people home safe, which is a passion of mine still. It's not the only passion. It's what's happened in the last little while is I guess I could say after my career ended in 2010, I started watching and went through my own crisis, divorced and real tough relationships with my kids, and lost some people in my life, and really, through a lot of my own decisions and some decisions that were made for me, had a path that wasn't really easy, and was struggling with some real serious issues upstairs, depression and mental, like suicidal ideations, and I really got dark. After a real successful football career and everything went really well, I was lost. And not only that, as I was trying to pick myself up out of it, I noticed that I was losing a whole bunch of my friends. I was losing guys from football and from outside of football to suicide, to drug overdose, to, just losing them. They just disappear. They just go off, and they don't call anymore. And they don't, you never call, you never write, but it's like, the serious stuff, right? Because there's something wrong. And in the last, I guess 10 years, really, I've wanted to do something, but I couldn't because I was still trying to repair myself.
Mhm.
And I've been on that path for a long time, and luckily I'm at a place now where I can start helping, and I can start helping other men. And so I've started a new movement. It's called Unspoken Fire. And we actually have our first event in Edmonton on October 4th. And we're going to be supported by the Edmonton Elk, and we're going to be supported by the alumni, and all of that's going to come out, as the weeks get closer to the event. But what we're trying to do is raise money and resources for men with, I can't say I'm a mental health expert, because I'm not a mental health expert. That's not it's just, there's too many legalities there. What I'm trying to do is raise awareness for the resources that men actually have locally to every city that we go into. And so
Right.
we're bring people that are bringing resources to men locally. We're also going to raise money, and that money is going to be directly through the charity Courage for Freedom. That money is directly going to be given to a local men's issue that needs support. And part of it's going to be voted on in the room, which is really, I think, exciting, because we're going to have a number of people in the room, and we're going to just have people draw lots, and we're going to vote. And the other part is going to be something that's going to be chosen before we get there. So it's a big undertaking. I've been swimming in it since I've known you for about 2 months now, really,
Right.
really swimming in it, and just trying to get to, I have to level up again. Here I am. So that's all in a nutshell. There you go. Bam.
I love it. Did I ever talk to you about Chad Kennedy?
Chad Kennedy.
Yeah, he's
No.
a retired RCMP officer. He was also part of the Canadian military. He is walking Canada right now. It's C2C for PTSD.
Huh.
Yeah, great guy. He'll be in Windsor September 3rd, I think. I've This guy is like a brother to me. And I, of course, with my veteran work and things like that, that's how I met him. But I think it would be a great connection. He's originally out from Calgary. And I'm not exactly, sorry, Chad, but I'm really not sure where he is on his journey at this moment. But I know he was walking from Calgary through all the provinces, through Ontario, and he will be in, like I said, he'll be in Windsor September 3rd.
Amazing.
So if you're in this area around that time, because I'm definitely getting together with him this time. I don't care, come hell or high water, I will be there, and would love to do like an on the spot interview. So I think it would be great to have as much momentum behind him coming this way, and then you guys possibly working together on different projects. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'd love to meet him, and definitely while he's in Windsor, in the middle of this movement. I mean, it's a long
yeah,
walk.
that is a long. This is his second year doing it. He did it last year. It was very successful at it. He said he had a lot of stumbling blocks because, when talking about mental health and things like that, it's not always easy. Not everybody wants to hear it. But I definitely, he's a huge proponent of mental health, and he walked one hell of a fight himself. I know there was times that he had suicidal ideations as well, and got himself out of that with some help. Obviously, he's doing phenomenal. But it's just, I don't know, guys telling me to connect you to.
Yeah,
So
no, I'd love that. That sounds amazing. Thank you very much. We'll do that.
absolutely. So my next question then. So you said that a lot of your teammates were dying by suicide. So do you think that that's partly because of these concussions that no one talks about either, like sports
Well, I think
concussions?
that's a great question, Dorothy. So not a lot dying by suicide as much as a lot of deaths that are happening. And by a lot, I mean just statistically, like just more than you would think for my age group, right?
Right.
Um, but deaths that are happening, and it's like the answer is never in the paper, right? But it's all of a sudden X dies suddenly. X Y, is found dead beside his bed, and he's 49 years old.
Yeah.
We just lost a guy to a heart attack, and he was 46. And it's just like that's a strange kind of, that's not so much about the mental health aspect or but it is men's health. But I mean, this guy was an athlete, so that's just a mysterious one. But
Right.
you see these guys dying, and the legacy that you'd hope to leave as an athlete. You get your name on that trophy and you get all that, that kind of, the legacy isn't to die before you're 50. The legacy is to live a healthy life and have kids and have grandkids and have a wonderful journey. Right.
Right. And so what would you say the transition was like from being this sports hero to now being a civilian and the rest of the world, and just like, oh, what's next? I know in the military you get a 2-week training saying, okay, go talk to your instructor. This is what you got to do for the next 2 weeks. What do you guys get in professional sports?
So I retired twice. I retired in Edmonton, and then I went back after a year off, and I played in Calgary for my final year in 2010. And they gave me a full body MRI. And when they found out I didn't have anything wrong with me, said, do you want to have a press conference, or you're just going to go off into the sunset? That was the question. And I said, I think I'll just go off into the sunset this time. And then then I was, at that point, I was actually studying for my NCSO, my safety certificate, so I could be a safety advisor in the oil fields. And I was walking into, I didn't know it yet, but within about 6 months, I had a job with Shell. But to answer your question, I mean, I was getting paid more probably with Shell than I was as a football player. And the thing that changes is all of a sudden life is just, it's normal, right? And I got divorced within a year of my retirement. And all of a sudden I was across the country back and forth, 10 on, 4 off. And I was living that cross country shuffle and trying to make heads or tails of where the meaning was. Even though I was going out trying to make sure guys got home safe, that's fine, right? That's important work. I'm not saying it's not, it's very important. But I've always been in a situation where I couldn't figure out what was meaningful about my work. And that's where I feel like Unspoken Fire is really what I've been kind of being groomed for over the last 25 years. Like, this is going to really bring a lot of meaning to my life and to my family's life and to the people around me.
I love that. So now that you've alluded to Unspoken Fire, what is Unspoken Fire?
So Unspoken Fire is a movement that we're creating. We're aiming to hit every CFL city. We're starting in Edmonton, like I said, October 4th, and then we'll be adding events after that. But through the course of a year, we want to our goal is to be able to raise $1 million for different men's issues across Canada. Okay, so I've got to be very careful because I legally I'm not supposed to use the words mental health. And I'm saying I'm not supposed to because I'm not a mental health expert. I haven't got training in it. But I also am smart enough to see that men's mental health is really in a position where there's a lot of issues that men have that they need help. So, I mean, where are the issues? Like, it's everything from parenting help, single parenting help, divorce issues, parental alienation. There's depression that's undiagnosed that men don't diagnose. There's work stress. There's now, of course, we've got all these financial things going on in Canada where people are losing their jobs and they're being phased out. So men are really struggling. It seems like more than anybody else, because you look at some stats, it's like, 8 out of 10 suicides are men, right? Like, I mean, it's crazy. That's a big deal, right? And now people can talk their way around it, but the bottom line is, men are the ones that are really struggling right now. So we want to bring them some assistance, and we want to do it across the country. We want to figure out what each area needs, what each city needs. And then hopefully, as long as we can keep on growing it, we want to go to other cities, and then we'll start hitting university towns and hopefully go to the States, because this is a multinational issue. So.
Wow. Now, are you working with an agency, or is this just strictly you?
So I have been very, very fortunate in having the assistance of a lady named Kelly Franklin, who is amazing. Shout out to you, Kelly. She's actually from my church, and she is the founder of Courage for Freedom, which is a group that has been founded and created to end human trafficking. And so I didn't see, listen, that's a very serious issue. And obviously we all have to look at that and say, we want to end that. Like, that's just got to be a universal movement right there. But when we started talking about what I wanted to do, her immediate instinct was, she said, like, we should have a conversation about this, because if you're helping men get healthy men don't traffic children.
Right.
And so it just turns into there's an
Wow.
alliance there. So we're not partners. I'm not part of Courage for Freedom, but they're helping me grow so
Right.
that I can do the things I'm doing. And really I'm leveling up. I'm a guy that I used to get hired to speak at companies. I'm now, we're doing this so that I can level up, get these events going and start a real movement where I'm planning everything. And that's yeah, kudos to everybody who's ever had me in for an event, because it's a lot of work, man. It's a
Trust
lot.
me, I get it. I've been doing a golf tournament for 4 years now by myself. Uh, I shouldn't say that. I've had a little bit of help along the way, but I got to talking with my friend Tracy the other day. I'm like, I need to farm like a committee,
Yeah.
to help, because I also this year I'm helping at Hogs for Hospice. Her and her husband, that's something they started a long time ago, and it's just taken off. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll support you, you come support me. And she
Yeah.
actually works for the Chatham Kent Health Alliance, which the monies are going to. She works for the foundation. So yeah, so I get it. It takes a lot of work to get that together.
But I
You
mean,
know,
that's the whole point, right? If it's worth it, it's going to be hard, you
oh,
know?
you had to say that. No, I'm creating that everything comes ease and flow, ease and
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too. I'm not praying for wisdom, and I'm not praying for patience, because I know what happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
gosh,
just,
don't
yeah.
even get me started on that.
Yeah.
You when you said that, what Kelly told you, healthy men would not traffic humans. And well, that would go for women too, because I know it's not just men that traffic uh
No,
individuals.
that's true. But the men are my focus,
Right.
right?
100%. But
So
I never thought of it that way. So thank you for bringing that point, because that hits home. If the collaboration between you and her, that's powerful. That's one hell of a powerful connection, Dan.
it really is. It's been just nothing but a blessing for me. When I say I've got to level up, it's really, it's a big undertaking for her to help me, and it's really it's interesting because I'm being reintroduced to a part of the world that I haven't seen since football, and that's the world of charity. I did a few charity drives when I was playing, but when you're a professional athlete, charity drives are, you carry the Grey Cup around, you take pictures with it, people throw you $20, you make money. The money all went to good places. It was an awesome thing, but
Right.
this is more formal, and we're very, very careful, and we're very, very making sure that we're doing the things we need to do so that we can make this thing fly and actually raise that money, because that's what it is, right?
Right. That is important, especially, we're not here in Canada, not sure what the government's going to do with charities. I heard a couple different things. And so every money that we can raise towards, like, especially mental health, because that is a huge, huge driver. So I love that you're doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm passionate about it. And it allows me to, I've been brewing on a keynote for mental health for a number of years. And so it's allowed me to really kind of fine tune that and get that ready. And I'm writing a book that's correlative to it with a workbook as well. So, and
Love it.
that, like, all of it is all kind of happening at the same time. And it's just one of those things that, like, it was perfect timing. So
When's the book coming out?
I'm hoping to have it out before the 4th of October is my
Wow.
goal. And which means I feel like I should be writing again right now. I should be back to editing.
No wonder why God has you up at 2 o'clock in the morning. That was
Yeah,
a separate conversation we had
that's right.
last week, but I get you. It's he has that mysterious way. Like, but the week of my birthday, he had me up at 3 o'clock, 1:30, 3 o'clock. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I find that when I wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, usually it's 3, but two's early, and two's really early. Three's bad. 4, I'm okay. Like, I'll just kind of get up. Usually if it's 4:30, I was like, okay, well, I'm up anyway, right? But I go to bed early too. So part of it's my problem. But you wake up at 2 and you ask yourself, do I need to get out of bed right now? And if the answer comes back yes, there's things that you need to work on right now, then you got to just get up. The day's wasting if you don't get up.
No word of a lie. The Thursday before my birthday, he had me up at 1:30. I did 3 hours of nonstop like journaling and reading stuff he wanted me to read. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I had like a full day's in before I even went to work, and then came home and did another full day. I was just like, okay. And I felt energized. So I didn't feel tired. So,
No.
you definitely know that it's what you had to do when you feel energized and empowered.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
What would you what would you say was one of the lowest moments, and how did you mentally climb out of that pit?
Ooh, you're hitting hard today.
I
That's
am
good.
hitting hard.
That's a great question. There was a time after my career was over in football and I was working for Shell and I'd go home I'd have 4 days off and I would fly for one day and I'd fly to Halifax from Peace River, Alberta. So it was about a 12-hour journey in total. Right. And then I would have Friday night, I would pick up my kids. So I'd fly in Thursday night and then I would fly out on Monday morning. Friday night, I'd pick up my kid. Friday after school, I'd pick up my kids. So I would have Thursday night and I was renting this nice apartment in Halifax. And I walked in the door and I saw this piece of paper on the floor that I noticed when I left. Cause I mean, if it's just like, you're an adult, it's easy. If there's no kids around, it's easy to keep your place clean, right? Like if it's just you, then it's just your own mess. It's not that hard. Right.
Right.
So I always have it buttoned up before I let the kids go back to their moms. And then I'd go to the airport. Right. And well, so I see this piece of paper and it just hit me like a ton of bricks that this place was empty and that my life was empty. And it was like, oh man. And I had a bottle of whiskey and I just started drinking this whiskey. And I remember sitting, looking over the balcony and just thinking, hmm, like what happens,
Mhm.
right? What happens if you just don't come back next time? Right? Is it better for everybody? Because the divorce was ugly. There was a lot of fighting. The kids were, they were struggling. And I was tired, man. Like I have a great life now. I've remarried. I'm super happy. My stepdaughter lives in the house. I'm reestablishing my relationship with my own children. It's amazing. But there I was, and I was just, the more I drank out of this bottle, the more I thought about jumping. And then I heard the voice. And there's two voices, right? There's the one that's like, yeah. So I drop a glass over the side,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay. And I was leaning, and I just remember leaning over the side. And I wasn't saying I was going to do it. I was just kind of playing with the idea. And I
Mhm.
just heard no, just no. And it was like somebody from my family saying it. I was like, oh. And so I walked inside, closed the balcony doors, and I went to bed. And I remember waking up in the morning and my head was banging, because when you drink whiskey like an idiot, you get headaches, right? So my head's
Mhm.
banging, and I got to get that dealt with before I go pick up my kids. And I've got to be level headed to see my kids. I didn't let my kids see me drink. That was one of my things. Like they might see me have a beer or something, but they didn't see me like that.
Mhm.
And I just remember knowing that I couldn't do that. And then I started digging myself out and I just started looking for things. I just started looking and I found Jordan Peterson. And it was probably a couple of years before I'd found Jordan Peterson, but really I found Jordan Peterson and I found 12 Rules for Life. And I found peace in that. I found peace in the idea that I could take my own responsibility for my decisions. And I started reading the Bible. And it was because all of his stuff is biblical, right? He admits it. I'm not sure what his situation is, but he's directly impacted my life in a huge positive way. And I just really respect him. And so I started reading that book. I read that book and then I started reading the Bible. And then eventually I just found peace. And I found out that I had to take responsibility for the things I did wrong. And so that was going back to before the balcony, like the stuff that I did to get me to the balcony, because we all make mistakes, right?
Mhm.
Two types of sins, right? There's the sins that you commit that hurt you, and there's the sins that other people commit to you,
Yeah.
right? And so you've got to know the difference. You got to forgive the ones committed to you.
Yeah.
And so what does it leave with the ones you've committed, right? You have to repent. And so God gave me that.
Thank you for being vulnerable to share that. Because I know there's a lot of men right now that are listening to this and thinking, wow, like if Dan can see this and Dan can admit that this is what exactly happened, then, they can start looking for help too. And I think this is so powerful by you sharing, because that is why you started Unspoken Fire, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you're on this trajectory to help men that are in the exact same place that you were at all those years ago.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. That's the reason, you know,
There
that's
we go. You could just do mic drop right now and call it a day.
say either you're bored of me.
No, not at all. I'm just like,
Yeah.
like that is like so powerful. And I mean, we always have a great conversation when you're on here, but
Yeah.
we didn't talk about that last time. Um,
No, we didn't. We didn't. It's important, right? It's important for men to be able to talk about that stuff. And, like I wouldn't admit that for years. Right. Like I would never admit that for years. And then one day I was like, no, like that's literally what happened. That's the story, because that's where there's two Dans, right? There's the one that jumped and there's the one that didn't,
mhm.
you know?
By sharing your story, you just gave some other man a permission to now look for his solution. Seriously, you just gave them permission to say, okay, if Dan can do this, so can I. And I
I
think
hope.
that's what's so powerful about sharing our story, because we all go through things in life. There's always the shit stacking of life, right? And
Oh yeah.
so I called it shit stacking. So
Well, it's very perfect because I know exactly what you mean, right?
you know and some people wallow in it, and some people would have jumped over, and that's unfortunate. But then there's also people, I think, people of faith that, or who find faith, are like, oh yeah, there's something that stopped me from either driving into that tree or jumping off that bridge or jumping off that balcony. And it's in those moments when we listen to that small voice that's saying no, just take a deep breath. I have a mentor that says that, do your box breathing, or take 10 deep breaths to activate everything. And so whatever you got to do in that moment to get you either away from that balcony or away from whatever it is that you're facing in that moment, to get you to the next step is what you got
Yeah,
to do.
it's I like the Jordan Peterson take on this too, and I promise I won't reference him again. This will be the second
Oh,
time,
that's
but I
okay.
won't do it the whole day. But he's, when you're in crisis, you figure out, how far into the future you can look, right? And so, can you look a year? Well, no. Well, can you look a month? Nope. Well, can you look a week? Nope. Can you look a day? Nope. Right? Can you look a minute?
Mhm.
Yeah. A minute sometimes is all you get.
Yeah.
Right? It's wild.
It totally 100%. You brought me back to one of my worst days ever, and it was a moment to moment to moment thing. Like, I seriously, and then I said, if I just go to sleep, it's going to be better in the morning.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning and everything was not 100% better, but at least it was better than when I went to bed, right? And so it's funny that you reference that, because I also have a friend, Carrie Stewart, who was working for Warriors Ascent, and he would tell these guys, just give me one day. Don't
Yeah.
do anything, just give me one day. And then he'll call him the next day. Give me one more day. Right. And so finally, after 30 days, it's just like, okay, so now where are you at now? Right. And
Yeah.
so
30
just by
days.
saying that, give me one more
Yeah.
day. And I always think of that. And like you said, sometimes it is moment to moment.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been very blessed. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been moment to moment. It's been a long minute. Like probably that balcony was the last time I was moment to moment. Right. But
it's awesome.
it's just one of those, and you don't know your journey. I mean, I didn't know anything. It's funny what you don't know about your own life.
Yeah.
Right. Because people think you're trapped and you're never going to get out of the situation you're in. And it's like, well, no, there's actually like there's roads going in every direction. And you're going to take a right, or you're going to take a left. And that if you're stepping rightly,
Yeah.
and that's an easy thing to do, all you got to do People might get tired of hearing this from me, but all you got to do is read the Bible. You don't even have to believe in God. You step rightly, you read the Bible, you're going to go, your life is going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when I figured that little gem out. Oh man, like if I just, oh, okay, so don't, well, I mean, like the big ones, right? Don't murder anybody. Okay, well, fair game. Never wanted to do that really badly. You know, I mean, I had my moments, right?
I was going to say, come on, you've never pictured just going.
Yeah, I mean, I played football. I threatened to kill guys right on the field. There was there's no question about that. But did I really want to murder them? Yeah. Anyway, let's go to past that one. So don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't lie. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you start following those rules, you start telling the truth every chance you get. Like well, man, your life gets really easy.
Right.
You know, especially if you do it to yourself.
Whew. That is powerful. So my next question, how do you find real toughness? Is it different from what you were taught in the locker room?
Oh, that's an interesting question. And it's interesting because it's so multifaceted. So yes and no. I'm from the old school. I believe men are supposed to be tough. And I believe that means that we're supposed to be able to sacrifice, and we're supposed to be able to overcome pain, and we're supposed to be able to protect the people around us. I remember playing ball with a guy named Chris Morris years and years ago. He's actually the president of the Edmonton Elk now, and he had this huge, like this. Well, he had a cracked vertebrae, right? And he didn't tell anybody, and he just. I had hurt myself in this game, and I came up and I was missing practice, and he was kneeling down. I'd never seen this guy miss practice, not a snap ever. Like he never missed practice. And I come outside before practice, and you wear your ball cap if you're missing practice. And so I walk out there, and there's Chris. He's sitting there, he's kneeling, watching practice. I'm like, what are you doing? You never, like I know how hard I got hit. It was really bad, and I'm in a lot of pain. I'm going to miss practice, but I'm still going to play the game. What are you doing? He said, oh, it's just a little cracked vertebrae. I said, what do you mean? I said, you out for the season? Are you done? Like, guy he was a little longer in the tooth than I was, right? He says, no, I'm just missing today. And he never said a word about it. Now you can say, okay, we have to report injuries. Certainly. Right. Mm-hmm. But there was a loyalty to the team that you had to have in order to win. And there's something there that men have to have that we need to have reinstilled into us to take care of the people that we're supposed to be taking care of. That means that sometimes our families are going to hurt us. That means that sometimes our job's going to hurt us. That means it's going to happen, and we got to carry on, right? That's the toughness that men have to have. And I feel like the challenge is now there's two things happening. Number one, there's a narrative online that men are being taken advantage of by women or being that sacrificial, strong, family-oriented man, that man of service, and that the women of today don't deserve that anymore because
I'm keeping quiet.
Well, so this is a narrative that I'm seeing, and this is one of the things I worry about when I'm talking to men is how do we get past this? The women of today don't deserve that anymore because they aren't traditional women, because they aren't living up. So what we've got a bunch of people online that are using the fact that men are in trouble to further the divide between men and women. I'm not saying we're supposed to run out and try to save every woman. I'm sure there's some that need saving, some that need help, some that are going to help us. That's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is we have to know who we are. We have to marry the appropriate woman to who we are. And that woman that you marry, if you're that man and you've got your eyes open, so you're marrying the right woman, she's going to know that you're a man of service, and she's going to honor you for that, and she'll never use it against you. But the narrative is that, men shouldn't get married. It's like, well, that's not going to do good for anybody. Yeah, divorce sucks. Believe me, I've been through it. I've read that. I read that pamphlet. I've seen it. Mm-hmm. But man, I wouldn't give up my kids. I wouldn't give up the lessons I learned. I certainly wouldn't give up my current wife.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dan, you brought a new narrative to this show because I'm sitting here biting my tongue.
No, talk. Look, and as
a woman, who is as just as much of a provider as my husband is, I don't want a meal ticket. I want somebody that's going to be there and support each other. As a female, that's what I see, and I see that in this day and age, the way things are, it's a two income family. So her just sitting at home and then waiting for you to come home and putting dinner on the table, those days are gone.
I
Unless
agree. I don't think we
unless
have the luxury of having those days anymore. That's
uh,
not, I didn't never said that I thought
no,
women
no,
should
no.
stay at home.
No, no, no. I know. But I'm sitting here. The Okay, so the women that I run with, uh, like, would never take advantage of their men and think that it's our meal ticket.
Exactly.
I can make my own damn money. I don't need him. I want him. I don't need him, and I think that's the difference. I'm not saying that. I mean, there are some women out there that they just want a meal ticket and they want the Gucci purse and their Versace, and they're going to take the guy for all he's worth. And I would say, I would hope. Okay, so the people that I know are the people that work for their own, and yeah, I mean, if he's
Well,
having a
Dorothy,
bad day,
let me ask you a question then.
yeah,
So what I guess, let me phrase it first. A man has to marry the right woman. So what you're
100%.
telling me is that you hang out with the kind of women that should be married to men, to good men.
Yes.
So now I'm not pretending that there's no such thing as a bad man,
Oh, I can point some out, but
right?
yes,
But I'm also not pretending that there's no such thing as a woman who'll take advantage of a man.
clearly there's some of them out there.
Now, my
I will
challenge
agree.
is, how do we have that conversation without furthering the divide between men and women? Because I think that one of the biggest challenges we have is the destruction of the family. And as long as my 10-year-old son, my son's 19 now, and he's got a great head on his shoulders, and he wants to get married and have 6 kids, and I'm super proud of that. I want him to do that. That's his. I didn't put that in his head. That's him. He's a
6 kids.
very,
Wow.
he wants 6 kids. But
God bless him.
yeah, yeah, I hope he does. I hope he does. Um, but like, it's without that, then we lose. Without people that actually want to have families and kids, and they want to, they want to add to the population, they want to do that, we're lost anyway.
Mhm.
So every time somebody gets on TV, online, or on TV, or anywhere, and keeps on this anger, like, how many ways can we let people divide us? We've already gone left to right politically. We're
Mhm.
going
Right.
Christian, no, non-Christian, atheists. Oh, we can't like the atheists if we're Christians. Well, that's not true. Like, we can actually love people and have different opinions, right? When I was a kid in the 80s, like, I didn't even know who people voted for, nor did I care.
Right.
Right.
I think the greatest thing that we could do, you asked how we could bring the divide, and I think it's just loving people where they're at. And just you may not agree with it. You may not agree with what they do, but if you show, case in point, there's certain in a marriage, there's give and take and there's growth, right? So if you have one that is committed to personal development and growth, and the other one that isn't, but you keep just focusing on you don't say, oh, you know my spouse is, they don't do nothing, they don't see the value of this or that. But just if you stay focused on you and changing you, I promise you your spouse will change. And I've seen it with my own eyes, because if I only focus on changing me and focus on the positive of my partner, they do change
I
for the better.
agree to a certain point. I agree to a certain point. And that point is that, part, as a man, and this is I can only speak as a man, because I that's what I am.
Right.
That's who I am, right? Um,
100%.
I, as a man, part of being I was actually had a podcast earlier today with a young guy that's an influencer on Instagram, and he's doing a lot of great work. I'll share his link with you later, but I don't have a say so to just share it publicly yet. But good
Yeah,
guy,
that's okay.
good young guy. And we were talking about this: focus on yourself, certainly. But what that leads to is focusing on service of others,
Oh, yeah.
and that's where you find Jesus,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because if you're not doing that, then if all you're doing is focusing on yourself, then the challenge is, okay, well, that now we're getting into we're looking at the mirror too much.
Okay, so maybe I didn't phrase this right. So when I
I
look,
think you're
when I
perfect,
say that,
Dorothy.
when I say that, okay, so coming from a background of a woman that did everything for everybody else and to the disservice of herself and her health before I started on my journey of healing.
Yes.
Um it was in order for I never looked inward, and I never like I guess what I'm saying is not only am I focusing on me, but if I'm at my highest and best self, that means I can be my highest and best self for others. You
Yes.
know? So that's I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So when I say focus on me, I'm not just saying it's all about me. Like I'm working on me internally so that I could be a better person for the world and making a bigger impact. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I get what you're saying because not every woman thinks like me. Trust me, I get it.
But Dorothy, I think that that's your case in point. You're proof of what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Because you had your dark days, just like I had my dark days. I couldn't help anybody in my dark days.
Yeah.
I mean, I would help the random person, give them $5 on the road or something like that, and try to think that that meant. Then it does mean something, but like that's as much as I could give.
Mhm.
But until I got through the worst of it for myself, I couldn't start focusing and say, okay, I'm going to dedicate my life to this.
Right.
Because I just had nothing to give because I was so broken. But you've got to focus on yourself enough to that you know who you are, where you're
Mhm.
going, what
Mhm.
matters. It's like the old plane analogy, right? You got to put your own mask on first,
Mhm.
and then, you
100%.
know, yeah, like I we're on the same page. I just didn't want it to be missed in
Right.
translation. Yeah.
No, and I'm
Not a-
glad you did clarify that because I'm sure there's somebody would have listened to and called in and said something. But no, I just no, I'm glad that we said that. But and I think in my growing up and witnessing my parents' marriage, they were married for 47 years before my dad passed away. And one of the things in their marriage was the communication was not always there. And so, I thought, okay, when I get married, and I got married very late in life, I want the communication to be there. But then realizing I expected him to talk, but that didn't mean that I had to talk, right? And so, or speak my truth, until I hit a certain level, and I'm like, I can't take this anymore, right? And so I started searching for answers and really discovering that wait a minute, that comes with me first. I do I want the man to lead? 100%. Does that mean he's going to lead? No. And that is, and some days I lead and some days he leads. And I just taking a look at, you know, I always like to gauge what's happening during the day. So I'll send my husband a text, "Hey, how's your day going?" And I know by his text, you know, not that I'm going to act a certain way, but I'm going to be more like I'm not going to expect anything. Because sometimes you can expect him to take out the garbage and do this. I see a need, I fill it. Not all men see the same thing that I see. They don't see the socks on the floor, and they don't see, that there's groceries that need to be bought. They don't see that because they're not looking for that.
Yeah.
Whereas a woman does. And women tend to think that if I can see it, why the hell can't he? Why can't he do it? Right. But not having that communication. And I think that's a huge thing. I mean, I'm experiencing it at work. Communication is not the number one, it's the number one thing lacking, but not the number one thing that's there. And so to bridge the gap, I think having meaningful conversations with no expectation, but just saying, hey, this is how I feel. When you do this, this is how I feel. And I think, hope to God that bridges the gap somehow, because we might disagree on things, but we should still be respectful to each other.
Certainly. Well, and I think I think men and women, but just everybody has their own perspective. I was listening to a guy the other day, and he was talking about it wasn't perspective. He was talking about how you use the how. Well, I'm going to mess this up, so I'm going to segue right into something else. My job is dishes, so I'm a man who does dishes. Now my wife does all the housework, all my laundry. I do the yard work. She would do the yard work if she loves the yard work, but I do the lawn. She has a garden that she tends. Um, and so in that is, and we have a daughter who's 19, who's growing every day and doing a wonderful job. She's actually a full-fledged barber, and she's an apprentice, but she's, you know, she's figuring things out. And it's really awesome to see, because I've known her since she was 14, and just to see the growth is awesome. Right. So seeing all that, still in the morning, sometimes I get up and there's dishes in the sink that shouldn't be there. And there's a dishwasher that's dirty, and the dishes should be in the dishwasher. And I'm making coffee, and I can't make coffee till the dishes are in the dishwasher, because I can't put my pot where I want to put my pot to have the coffee go into the water, fill the pot. You've been there, right? I can't do it. And so I'm just like,
Oh my God,
and so the exploratives start coming out of my mouth at, you know, first thing. I'm just getting up, I'm getting ready to go pray, and there I am cussing in the kitchen, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm talking to my pastor. We had a men's group last year in the wintertime, and he was talking about this, and he said that those are the moments where you thank God for the opportunity to serve your family. And so it's always stuck with me. It's like, yeah, I'm supposed to do dishes. If they don't, so like my daughter also has things that she does around the house, and she also brings a levity, and she keeps us young. And I mean, there's just something about, you know, at 19, I didn't do anything for my old man. I'll tell you that right now. So I'm not owed anything from my 19-year-old behavior. So like, why don't I just okay. So sometimes I'll ask for some help, but for the most part, instead of swearing and throwing the F sharp out, I'll try to thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to serve my family, because it's what I do anyway. You know.
Oh, Frank, I love that. There's gonna. This is so.
Don't say it to your husband, Dorothy. Don't say it to your husband. You say it to God, because your husband. You say it to your husband. You've got. I don't think I even told my wife I do this.
Trust me, I'm not dumb. After being together for 8.5 years, I finally learned that. Thank God I have thank God I have a tribe, and thank God I have girlfriends that I could just say whatever I need to say. It stays between us in the moment. Like, I just need to get it out. I'm a verbal processor, so I get it out, say what I got to do, and then I feel like 100% back, 100%. And then I go back into the living room. Hey, honey, how you doing? And it's not like I'm being two-faced. It's the fact that I needed to get it out. But if I had that conversation the way I would have had it, we'd be divorced 10 times over by now. And, you know, and really, would it have mattered in 5 minutes or 5 years or 10 years from now? No. But in the moment, it was important enough for me to get upset about it.
I'll give you one. I'll give you another one right now. Here's one right now. So
I love it.
So my garage door's not working properly, and you got to hold the button down to get the garage to go all the way down. And my wife leaves a 2-inch crack on the bottom because she doesn't wait, and then she just clicks it again. And I've been telling her for, you know, as long as the garage door has been working, which has been too long, because I should have repaired it by now, if we're being honest, right? Like, it'd be like being honest.
Oh, I love that.
So I've been saying, just hold it down, right? I'll get to it, but just hold it down. And so yesterday we had a conversation about that, and I was on her about it, you know, and I was kind of half joking, but kind of like, you know, giving it to her, right? Like, just giving her a little push, just for fun. We have a lot of fun. And she comes into my office today, because we both work out of the house, and she says, I just want to tell you, she says, if you just, in the blinds in the living room, if you just open them just a quarter way in the summertime when the sun's beating in, it really keeps the living room nice and cool. And then I don't have to feel like the living room's burning up. And my response was, I guess we both have our things that we've been telling each other for a long time, don't we? And she's just laughing. She's like, yes, we do. And it wasn't like she was sticking it to me, and it wasn't like I was sticking it to her at all. But like, I mean, we both could listen, and we'd never have to say it again. But I don't know, maybe the joke's half the fun.
Oh my God, man. My jaw is hurt from laughing so much. You know, I totally get you. I don't know how many times I've got to ask for something to be fixed.
See, that's where you stopped. That's where you stopped.
And then I finally got, just recently, I'm like, oh, I guess if I would have done that, then, you know, I don't think, you know, then we would have had it, you know, everything would have been fine. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And that's it. That's all I did. I was like, mm-hmm. I didn't make him wrong. I didn't degrade him. And I think that's another thing within society too. I think the need to be right and to degrade people creates the huge divide. So if we could just do what we just playfully did, really,
yeah,
you know, I think that would be huge. Sorry, I'm still trying to answer the question of how we bridge the divide. And just those little things like we're throwing humor to this, but really this is everyday life, folks.
Well, and
You
that's
could do this in
humor's
your
part of
home.
it, right? Humor's
You
part
could
of
do
it.
it in your home. You could do this in society. You could do this in your church. This is something that is right. Bring fun to it. Like bring humor to everything is what I do.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And I think that, like, I know my marriage, we laugh all the time. We've known each other 30 years. We've been married for 3, and we've been dating for 5, right? So I came back after, and actually since 33 years we've known each other. So I came back after a whole bunch of years, and then we ran into each other, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, we were supposed to get married when we were 30. Okay, well, we didn't do that. Now we've got all these other kids, but we got married, right? And it's so we're buddies, on top of everything else. But that humor, it means there's a respect there,
Yeah.
right? There's just a respect there, that because both of us can laugh. And I don't feel like she's trying to say, hey, you're a real a-hole.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, I get that. I get that. And that is just you know, I had no expectations for this interview other than, I knew it was going to be great. And we brought so much to this interview uh that a
Well, we're
lot of
already coming
people
up to the end, aren't we? It's already
I
we're already
yeah, like, we're almost at the end, and so it's just so much pearls of wisdom with what you've said, right from, hey, if we help men with the mental health, uh, then there wouldn't be there'd be less sex trafficking. It's funny because I seen a sign somewhere in Port Huron where it said, if you something, and I'm gonna get mess this up, something about the fact, if basically paraphrasing, if we do a good job with the children, then we will be raising amazing older men, something to that effect. So, I mean, it goes for women too, but I know we're talking about the men's side of it right now too. And it's just, so if we take care of everybody's mental health now, then could you imagine what society would be like in 10 years?
100%. And that's part of the movement. The thing I don't want to lose is, and this comes from like a place, because I should say this in this interview, it's important. Again, how important, I've already said how important it is that I don't create a gap between men and women. That's never going to be my game.
Right.
But societally, and every time you say but, you embrace everything. I get it. Okay, so societally, since the 80s, I've seen the attack that's gone on men, and I've seen we're not supposed to compete. And I mean, being a big, strong guy my whole life, I was the guy that was called Gentle Dan, so I would never get in a fight until I had to get in a fight because I was getting picked on. I was the guy that I was the guy that was told not to be aggressive because I didn't want to hurt anybody. I was, like, all that stuff works against, don't take the risk. It's all of that stuff that people want to see, men and women want to see men be, and men want to see themselves become heroes. All of us do. Like, all of us want to be that heroic guy. All of us had the visions in our heads when we were kids of the guy breaking, well, maybe not all of us had the guy breaking into church, but I was in church, and I used to have these visions in my head about guys breaking into church, and I'd roll down the side of the wall, and I mean, it's all of that's part of, it's part of Die Hard, and it's part of, Rambo, and it's part of all of that stuff. It comes with us being, that's part of being the protector. That's the romanticized version of it. But the protector got emasculated over the last 30 years, and he got attacked over the last 30 years, so that every time a man opened, it seemed like when men opened their mouth about certain things, or when men opened their mouth at all, when, like, they would get shut down because they were men. You talk about human sexuality, you talk about things like abortion, you talk about, like, I mean, it's heavy topics. Well, you can't even talk about abortion if you're a man. Well, wait a minute. Like, why not? Because what if it's half mine? Like, there's a conversation there. I'm not saying we need to open this one right now, but there's
Mhm.
nuances that we lost the ability to talk about over the last 30 or 40 years. And I don't know the root of it, but I know I watched it happen. And what I want to do is give men the voice back, so that, not so they can go out and start tyrannizing the world and telling women how to do what they need to do. Like, that's you already see my tone. You know who I am.
Mhm.
But so they can stand up and say, I want to be a man of service. I want to be a man that takes care of my family, and I have a place in this world. And that place is being a person of service, is taking care of people, and it is doing the right thing, and it is not lying, and it is, like, all the good things that we're supposed to be. And that means sometimes I'm going to screw it up,
Yeah.
you know, but I can tell you that I'll admit it and I'll grow through it. It's a long, man, that's tough because it's been, some people say it went back to the 60s, but I'm 72 version. So that's, by the 80s, I witnessed it. Right. And by the 90s, I really witnessed it. Then you see guys running around calling themselves feminists so that they can get lucky. Right. And there's nothing lower than that. Right. Like that's like the lowest, the feminists.
I'm hearing a whole bunch of new things today, Dan. Honestly,
Well, I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm trying
no,
to,
I appreciate it.
I'm
You're
not trying
opening
to
my
be too
eyes.
controversial, but
You're opening
yeah.
my eyes to a whole new world that I didn't even know was out there. And
There's a bunch of good authors, right? There's a book called War on Boys. There's another book called Wild at Heart. I can get you this for the description if you want. And authors that talk about this in detail. And the proof is in the pudding, because what we've got today is a society of emasculated men and young men that don't, I honestly think the pendulum's swinging back. I think that like my 19-year-old son he's a dude and he's smart and he likes his brains, but he's also stands up for himself. And, the kind of kid that saved up for 3 years to take a 6-month trip across Asia after he graduated high school and just got back and nailed it. Didn't go over there and act like an animal, right? Like it's really amazing, right? So I see it's coming back, but there's a bunch of people in the middle, I think, that need to be healed.
wow, I think the whole world needs to be healed. Let's heal everybody.
Yes.
Let's heal everybody, and let's start our revolution of healing. And I totally agree. I'm a firm believer. Like you said, you had 40 different coaches while you were in your sports career. Could you could you imagine, even if as a civilian, people would just say, okay, well, I need a coach for my personal life, a coach for my business or job life. I need a coach for my marriage. So like a marriage coach, whatever, spiritual healer, or, find a good pastor. So right there's like potentially 4 to 5 different coaches that I think that every person should need just to have a well-balanced life. But there are people out there that wouldn't even dream of having a coach or a mentor to help them with any of that. And I think bridging the gap is what we need to do.
I agree. And I would say like the whole coaching thing to me is interesting because I had 40 professional coaches. Like I said, I had great leadership at Shell. I've had great leadership with companies I've worked with since then. Worked with Michelin, worked like just different companies where I ran into people that just knew so much about human performance, so much about, they just knew it. Right. I'm working with another guy he's actually coaching me as a peer. His name's Parrish Taylor, and he's really helped me with a lot of this stuff too, right? The human performance side of it. But I really go back to like, if you don't have a coach, you don't have the wherewithal to have a coach, and you don't know how to start, and you don't know what to do, maybe read the Gospel of John. Like maybe there's enough in there that you might see some of the rules that you're breaking. And I'm not saying that this isn't a dialogue about faith over works or any of that stuff, but like the rules that we break in that book are the rules that hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Those are the things we do. And I feel like we have a coach. One of the reasons I didn't want to get into coaching is because I was saved, and I was like, I can't, I got Jesus. And whenever I have a problem, I go to the people that know him better than I do, and I read about him, and it seems to help me. Right.
Right.
But people also need help. And sometimes maybe we can be that help. So I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about it. It's interesting. I do think people need help. That's what I agree with you.
If we heal the world, we heal everything. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
Whether that be through prayer or whether that be through, well, there's a whole bunch of different things out there to heal people. Connect with us, and we'll make sure that you get to the right place. Let us know how we can serve you. Let us know, what issues that you're having. And I have a network of people that I can refer you to nonstop for days between everything I'm doing. Like 400 people I've interviewed. So, I mean, I'm sure I can find one person to help you.
Yes. Yes.
So.
And I will help any way I can. It's absolutely anything you need and anything. Yeah. People can reach me from my website. You've got it. You've had this thing playing at the bottom the whole time. I just noticed because the conversation was going so well.
Oh.
Thanks for keeping me interested.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. Yes. Go check Dan out at unspokenfire.com. Dan, this has been truly amazing. Like I could go for another hour talking to you. Maybe this is something that we might have to do monthly or bi-monthly. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again. Especially, you know what? I'd love to do it getting closer to the event with, when we pick our sponsors and we pick our charities, because we're getting close, but there's a bunch in the running. So a lot of exciting things ahead. And as you know, I've been deep in it, so it's hard to get a hold of me, but I'm around, definitely.
Hey, I got your phone number. I'll get a hold of you one way or another.
That's right. That's right.
And I won't give that out, but
anyways. Well, it's on my website, so they'll get it if they want it. They can reach me.
There we go. Go to Dan's website. Well, thank you so much for your wisdom, sir. I just want to give a shout out here. The 4th annual Don Gray Memorial Fun Classic is coming up, folks. It is August 9th. It is the week after Hogs for Hospice. For those of you that are in the Chatham-Kent, Essex, Windsor area that are familiar with that. So it is at the Tilbury Golf Course. There is a $10,000 prize up for grabs for a hole-in-one. So come check us out. Have fun. We're raising money for the Chatham-Kent Health Alliance Foundation, specifically for the Patient Care Assist Program. My God, that's a mouthful. But we want to make sure that the community gets the money, and that is the best way to do it. So come check us out. Email us, comment on here, ask for more information. We're looking for golfers, sponsors. Want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors here. Late Talks on Air with Nancy Duffy, Sutherland Elliott Insurance Brokers, IG Private Wealth Management, and of course, Pure Flavor. We thank you for that. And of course, we got a $25 gift card from Image by Courtney. So thank you, Courtney, again for helping us out this year. It is going to be fun. We're having a memorial wall. So if you've lost somebody to cancer, bring their picture with their name on the picture, and we will make sure that their legacy lives on forever. Ever. Amazing. All right. With that, Dan, any last words so we can wrap this up?
Come to the golf tournament. Check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Unspoken Fire, check me out. It's check out the new website. I've got a great team behind me, and I'm looking forward to making a difference. So if you feel like you can help out, please, you can always click in and let me know who you are.
Perfect. All right, guys, with that, be unstoppable in all that you do. Remember, go to our YouTube channel, the Unstoppable Network, subscribe, share with all of your friends, put it in your newsletter, and get more people watching this so that we could heal the world. All right, with that, see you next week.